Well, good evening. The Who's today in Sydney were on at Rosehill, and it was not a bad meeting leading up to Christmas. Plenty of people there, usual suspects, only punters. Um, the track was good. The rail was 6 metres out. Track played fair. There was no wind, and the track played fair, as I say. You could lead, or if there was enough pace, you could most certainly run on from behind. Now, the first race, uh, we only gave 100 here in the marketplace. We only gave 100, and there was more than that on the screen, of course. Um, and this race was could have had a different result if we run this again, because not sure soon after the start, number 9, Shadow of Your Smile, ridden by Killer Cat, it was checked. Killer Cat came off. She injured a shoulder. She did ride a winner later on, winning on protest. What a good girl. Anyway, it was she was dislodged not soon after the start, and that runner then sped through the field, and it caused a lot of interference around about the furlong pole. And the main sufferer was Fine Diamond. It also copped plenty. Number 4, Pasali, ridden by Nash, and Fine Diamond, ridden by Nathan Berry. I've got to say, that it finished up it ran fourth. The riderless horse was first past the post, which is entitled to be, with no weight on its back. So it's a keen chaser. And I've got to say, if the riderless horse doesn't come in and absolutely poleaxe Fine Diamond, which went in on top onto Pasali, I dare say that Fine Diamond might have won this race. It finished up, it got beat 1.3 lengths, and when the riderless horse knocked it over, I think it's lost 2.5 lengths, if not 3. It was just starting to really get into the race. I reckon it would have rounded them up and won. Anyway, the race was run the first starter, Howdar. It led from box 1, barrier 1. Sitting on the south side was Let's Frolic, the favourite, and behind the pair were Pasali on the fence, which finish up checking the winner at one stage, Regimental Pride, who was resuming today, and Pasali having his first start in the race. Apparently, Regimental Pride is going to Wyong on Thursday, so it'll be improved a lot by today's run. But as I say, when they all more or less had their chance, except for those, Pasali wouldn't have won. But repeating myself, I think that Fine Diamond, if it doesn't get poleaxed by the riderless horse, it would have most probably rounded them up and won the race. The winner, Regimental Pride, was extremely hard to lay. It was a big result for the captains, I must admit. It went from $4.60 to $6.50, didn't have a price. 100 to 1 was taken the next runner, Astronaut, at the late in betting. Pasali extremely well back from $8 into about $5, $5.50 Pasali. The favourite, Let's Frolic, well, it was about $2, 5 to 4 out to 7 to 4, $2.25 to $2.70, and Fine Diamond was 12 out to 16, and it was well back late Howdar, $5, $4.60 out of $5.50 back into 5. The bottom 3, there was a little bit of money for them as well, but there was only about 100 in the marketplace, and that's about all I'll say there. Be wary of the form. The fourth horse most probably should have won. Next race was won by Gullible. Didn't you think bookies didn't reach for this? It didn't have a price. This is another huge result for the captains. Gullible went from 2s to 9 to 2. They bet $5.50 on the fence, Gullible. Did start $5, $3 out to $5.50 back into 5. Centipet was very well backed. It was $5 out to $5.50 back into $4.80. The next runner was backed, Voltuna. It was $9 given early in the piece. And he started about 7. It took $7.50 off you. Glimmer, 16 out to 26, back into 20, back out to 26. Pretty famous. I laid it at $10. It started that price. Cat's Eye Surprise, who didn't take the second horse into the race. If it would have been able to get a bit of a move on Cat's Eye Surprise, it ran last, beaten 14.1 lengths. As I told you in last start, Gullible should have beaten it easily. But anyway, it was $10 out to 16. Didn't have a price. Now the next runner, Bonetta, I think he might even admit himself, the brilliant Brendan Abdullah, that he should have taken off before he did. This started favourite. It was $3.50 Bonetta out to $4.60. It started 9 to 4, $3.20, $3.30 maybe. It was they put an absolute bucketful on it. It settled down in last position, was eased at the start, and Brendan Abdullah said he was hoping that Cat's Eye Surprise would have taken him into the race, but it fell back and he's back on top of him, and it was going to be a big performance if he could have won from the turn on, because they hadn't gone that hard up in front with. Oh, if they had, it had ran along Voltuna. Voltuna. It ran second last, beaten 9.3. It led with Nash aboard, and it made up a lot of ground. Benita. Maybe if he would have taken off at the 600, I dare say that Benita most probably would have rounded them up. The winner, Gullible, it sat third, 3 back on the fence and got a lovely run turning for home, and it won by 1.3 lengths. All of the others had their chance. Race 3, going back to that race, it was disgraceful. Only about 94%. Only about 94 we got to in the second. In the third race was no better. 94, 95 maybe. These were the flux. Grand Business, it went from $5 out to $6. Long Lasting from $3.20 out to $3.70, back into $3.20, back out to maybe $3.30 at the death, hard to get. The next one was Scratch. Hurricane Henny went from 26 out to 31. Hunter Jack, very well backed from, it opened up $5, got out to $6.50, back into 5. It was $5.50 when they jumped. The winner was Reach For, Lily Bolero, $2.80 up to $3.50, plenty of it. It started $3.20, hard to get. And the bottom one, Fragmento, or number 8 Fragmento, was $16 out to $18. Not worth a caser, 94, maybe 95. And this was a good win by Lily Bolero. Leading in the race was Hunter Jack. Lily Bolero on its outside. They got along. It was up there challenging for the lead early. Long Lasting, the equal favourite, but then he eased in behind them. It finished up running last. I thought it was maybe a doubt at the 1400, which proved to be right, and it finished up running last, beaten 8.7. The winner has obviously well, it's not a bad runner. Race 4. Race 4. There might have been a touch under the 100, about 99 at the top odds, and winning this race was Screen Machine, of course, on protest. I must admit that it's easy now. I think the stewards were right in upholding this protest. The winner, Screen Machine, when the gates opened, it came out, they said 3 lengths last. It looked further to me, it looked like at least 4 or 5. What's the difference? So and then at the 1900, it's not that far to the first turn. Ridden by Killer Cat with the bruised shoulder, wherever she had. She'd caught the field and got inside, going for a run up along the fence into a hole, into about third last hole on the fence, with runners on its outside. As she was about to poke through there, unfortunately for proper Peter Roble, who was on her outside, he most probably took her running. He wasn't the. He wasn't the. It might have been a length and a bit clear, but I think Kath has most probably said that where he finished up is where I was going, and he took my running. And again, on the home turn, the same thing occurred, not to the same extent, but it moved out a bit again after she tailed him from that position to the home turn. She was behind him all the way. And again, Marden shifted out a bit in front of Kath. And again, it was hampered slightly, and it made up plenty of ground. Marden had a clear run from the turn on, and whereas she lost her momentum, as I say, well, she was held up for a good while and only got beat 0.4. Taking that all into account, it should have won easily, the second horse. Well, the second horse passed the post, and the protest was upheld, as I say. Well, they took $5.50 at the death. It opened up $4 clear, second favourite, got out to $5.50, back into $5, and a bit hard to get at the finish. As I say, run that race over again, and it would be a dead set 2-to-1 chance. What else can I say about that race? The favourite Gangster's Choice, they said it got trapped wide. I don't know whether it was wide. He might have been half carding. It pulled up lame. It finished up running last, beaten 15.4 lengths. Gangster's Choice. It was very well backed. It went from $3.20 out to $3.70 or 80, back into $3.40 at one stage, back to $3.50 when they jumped. There were plenty of other runners liable in the race. No, they weren't really. Censor and Marden both backed. They took $8.50 the both of them. And there was a bit of money for Martinist, and really all of the other runners got out in the market, and there was only about 99. The winner was by far the best run. The fifth race, here we had positive figures. There was 105 here. It wasn't bad, but there were plenty of runners you couldn't lay. Bookies reached for the Avery, and they were quite right. They got the cash. Choice words I'm talking about. It went from $1.80 out to $2.05 given on the fence. Started at $1.80. Delabon Bell went from 25 to 30. Next run in Upsy was about $9 out to 13. She's Clean, the winner. $4 out to 420, taken into 380 at one stage. Back to 420, back to 4. Song and Roses didn't have a price from 40 out to 70. The next run of Lady Leduce was back one stage at $17, but started that price. The next one of Shamadani didn't have a price, was 15 out to 21. The next one was scratched. Song Sha, no price, 30 out to 51. And the bottom one, Syncopated. Well, how is it going to win? It was $19 into $16. Now, he was most probably a victim of circumstances. Bold Blake Shin on the winner, on the favourite, the second horse. It had barrier 1 and barrier 2, the winner, She's Clean, ridden by Horseman Bowman. And after it led on the fence Lady Leduce with Delabon Bell on its outside. Directly behind it was the favourite. On its outside, it was Syncopated, and directly behind the favourite was the winner, She's Clean. And when they turned for home, Huey was able to ease off the fence, and Bold Blake Shin had no choice but to hope he'd get an inside run. It eventually came, but of course the winner had after easing off the fence, was able to get around the heels of the leaders, and of course had his momentum up and established a winning break, and the margin was 1 length, and they got the third horse was which was the leader, Lady Leduce, was 3.8 lengths away. First and second had plenty on them. If you ran the race again, the second horse would still be favourite. Maybe they'd be a little bit closer to betting, or maybe they'd be about the same price as they started. Race number 6, there was only about 96 or 97 on the screen here, and apprentices couldn't claim in this race, and that would have been the reason why Jenny Duggan wasn't aboard the winner Cantonese, the regular rider. But as I explain or tell you all the time, it's like when Jimmy the pumper hops on board with those short ham and eggs of his and rides right on his tippy toes. he made sure he led. When they hit the first bend, he had who was it? Trajet maybe Trajet on his outside, and three wide Fumicino with Nash aboard, and Jimmy made sure he accelerated as they hit the bend going out of the straight, and made Fumicino work to get in the second hole. And once Fumicino wasn't able to pressure Jimmy, he made sure that he didn't slacken off. The winner, Cantonese, wouldn't even know he was on his back. He rides so balanced, and it just rolled along. And this race was over a long way from home. At the 1,000 metres, there was no betting. He was 3 or 4 lengths clear from Fumicino, and excuse me, and it was another 3 lengths to the Trajet on the outside of Fromless in third and fourth holes, and it finished up running tailed off the horse from Queensland, Trajet. But turning for home, as I say, the race was well over before that. It won by 6 lengths, Cantonese, and Jimmy stayed tight against the fence all the way, and it was never going to be beat. And the well-backed horse starting second favourite, the winner, Cantonese, it went up. Bookies wanted to reach for it again. It went up $3.20 and got out to $3.70 in the outer, and at least from plenty of boards, $3.60 on the fence. It was into $3.20, 30 at one stage. No, I even think they took the $3.20 at one stage, but it got back to start at $3.50. These were the flux. Fumicino went from $4.40 out to 6 given, back to $5.50. Moriarty went from $5.50 out to $7.50, back into $7, hard to get. The winner, I've told you, Fromless, went from 17 into 15, back out to $18. King Utah, $9 out to 13. Trajet, 16 out to 26. Now, this is the one that they put a poultice on. I'm talking about Iggy Pop. It was $4. I gave $5.50. I didn't want to miss it. It did start $3. Well, it started $4 on one board on the fence. I laid 3,000 or 1,000 after laying a stack against it prior to that as they jumped. And the next one was scratched, and Platinum Jack was $81 into $51. And you run the race over again. It would be 5-2 Cantonese. It would have to be evens or shorter. Race 7, there was only about, I told you in that race, we only gave 96, 97 in race 6. Race 7, similar, 97, 98 given at top odds. A very quick run goes through with the flux. Uarte, who got trapped 3 wide, $8 out to 11, back into 10 or even 9. Irish Jig didn't have a price, $10 out to 17. A Cup of Tea went from $9 out to 12, back into 11. Angel of Mercy, I was $5.50 when they jumped, $4.60 out to $5.50. The next runner, Havana Ray, very well back to Havana Ray, $8 into $6.50. Capital Commander, the second horse, would have been a big result for me, $17 into 13, hard to get. So the Samui Lad, the winner, it went from $5 out to $6.50, back into 6. 100 out to 200, the next Jimmy Fortunes. Al's Gold, 25 to 31. Happy Huzzy, 13 into 12, or 11 even. Privately, 11 out to 12, back into 11. $41 Ramsey Curse taken, and the bottom one was 100 out to 300 Imperator. And Nash went straight to the lead on Samui Lad as expected. He had barrier 11, perfect alley for that runner and for Nash to come straight, slide across the face. And very cleverly, he's such a clever rider, Nash. He didn't cross and go straight to the fence. He had on his outside Havana Ray. Down the side, he stayed good 2 to 3 horses off the fence, velodroming, with making Havana Ray come up on his outside. And of course, Uarte getting trapped 3 wide outside the pair. And in fourth hole, good 3 lengths away, was Capital Commander, who finished up running second, but it was closer to the fence. Not that there was anything wrong with the fence. And on its outside was just the right way to ride the winner. instead of crossing and letting him get off the outside. Irish Jig was on the outside of Capital Commander, and then there was another 3 or 4 lengths to the rest of the field, and another 4 runners at least, and then another big break to 3 tail enders. And when they turned for home, Nash velodromed over a little bit closer to the fence, and he was able to get a break. And coming off the fence, going out after him was Capital Commander. Looked like he'd get him at the furlong pole, but Nash rode very vigorously and was able to beat him by half a length, and sliding through from about 6th position on the fence all the way from barrier 1 was Happy Huzzy. The first bet I laid in the race was 6,500 Happy Huzzy. It was always well backed, and it ran third, beaten 0.3 of a length. It made up. It settled back in the field privately. It came from well back and made up plenty of ground into 4th hole, beaten about 2 lengths. That was about the race. And then we came to the last, and this was no good figure-wise. I birched a few runners in this race, I must admit, and I birched the favourite at one stage. I didn't give the 290, which was given, but I did give 270 for plenty, and 260 and 250 for plenty. And I was very lucky to keep the section. It should have won the favourite sessions. What was I going to say? Oh, in this race, the figures, we only gave about 92, 93. These were the flux. The top one was scrapped before. It was $26 out to 41, back into 31. Ryback was scratched the barrier after playing up a bit. Tahitian Black, it was $13 out to $16. I laid it well at $15 at one stage, but I was 16 when they jumped. Tester Rhythm. Now this runner, when I say there was 92, 93, it was legless, because some runners, including this one, Tester Rhythm, didn't have a price. Tester Rhythm went from $11 out to 17. My Vegas was $51 into 41. Alumbrado was $12 out to 15, back into about 12. The next runner was Elusive Lad, didn't have a price, $15 to 26. Mighty Obvious was 61 into 31, Mighty Obvious. The winner, Whitlam, went up $13, out to $16, but only started at 13, hard to get, extremely well backed, and got a charmer. It was sold during the week by Darley for about 40,000 at the sales. Chris Lees has bought it for clients, and first prize today was 48,000, so they got their money back straight away. Inventive was extremely well backed. It was $8.50 out to $11, back into $7.50, extremely well backed. Now this where it was no good. The winner, the opening second favourite, Ain't She Grand, it went up $5.50, a 9 to 2 chance. It was $5.50 to $11 on my board when they jumped, and haven't got a crumpet out of it. Never got a crumpet out of it. I was yelling at the owners. Would the owners of Ain't She Grand please step forward? They were nowhere to be seen. And surprisingly, the instructions were to kill a cat, go straight to the lead. It wouldn't have led if it would have been fired out of the barriers in a cannon. It settled. She rode the brains out of it. Was 3 lengths behind the second last horse. Couldn't keep up. The vet ran his hand over it and couldn't find anything wrong with it, and it has to trial before it starts again. The next runner was But I'm Ready. It was 71 out to 81. Kimberly Kidd was 61 out to 71, and the Avery, as I say, it went up $2.50, got out to $2.90, back into $2.50 at one stage, although I never wound 260 off when it was into 250. But at the finish, I had to. It started $2.35 or $2.40, very hard to get. And unfortunately, well, the horses obviously got problems. They took, Snowden Camp took the lugging bit off it today, but it did have the, it had a, well, at least it had a nose roll, it had the Norton bit on, and also a nose roll. And it drew wide, and even though it well, it was off the track all the way, but what with cover. But when they turned for home, unfortunately, it was held up fairly badly, and the winner leading in the race was mighty obvious from barrier one. On its outside, Kimberly Kidd, and three wide outside the pair was Tester Rhythm, who had the outside alley. And sucking up behind that trio was the winner, Whitlam, who got the, as I say, the beautiful suck. It got past the leaders and got a 2.5 to 3 lengths break. And after being held up, Sessions pulled widest in the straight. It sailed down the outside and only got beat a half a length. If it wasn't held up, it would have got the Vickies. But that's what happens in this game. And sliding along from midfield on the fence, never leaving that position, was But I'm Ready, an 80 to 1 chance from barrier 2. It was beaten 2 lengths. The favourite was the hard luck story in the race. There was a couple of others that copped a few prats here and there. The favourite's it's not a punting proposition. When if next start it'll be favoured for sure, Sessions, but well, it all depends where it draws and other circumstances. So we'll see when it races next. That was about the program. The figures were hopeless all day, but we've got to put up with that in Sydney. That's the way it is. So if you did bet today, I hope you had some luck. And Hawkesbury is on tomorrow. So I might try and do a bit of a review after the last there tomorrow. Good evening.